I never in my life wanted anything that I couldn't get if I just yelled loud enough. Worked like a charm when I was a baby, and since then I've had so much practice that I'm terrific. Here, I'll give you a general idea. Wah! Wah!
Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
It's Frank Capra February.
What?
That's the poll I did.
Oh,
This one's Patreon.
I'm not a patron, you see,
title.
so I don't get to vote.
Well, I mean, technically you did get to vote because it was 50-50 on what we were going to watch, and you wanted to watch this one.
Well, yeah, I like the title.
And not just because it had James Stewart in as
Well,
well.
no, I knew that. I didn't know that before I picked.
We just like the title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't take it with you, which
Yeah.
is so true. So all your vinyls, all your Blu-rays, all your 4Ks that you buy, eventually we both will die, and they'll just be sat on that shelf still. Sorry, Paul.
So enjoy them while I can.
Oh yeah, pretty much. And then sell them before you die.
Have someone pass on, inherit
You
them.
can't give our child all your crap.
I can.
You can't. It's not fair.
To sound morbid, but it's going to be the same with my dad when he's like, "Oh, you can inherit all the vinyls." I don't even know where.
You will want to inherit them, and that's the issue. And then I'm like, well, we need a bigger house.
Anyways, yes. So the reason is Frank Capra February is because I put up a poll for 2 films that Frank Capra has directed, and we obviously know him for being the director of It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I thought I mentioned that
No.
to you. No.
I don't know who this Frank somebody.
All right.
I'm not really great with directors, am I?
Well, maybe not all ones, though, to be fair. Sometimes I'm not always up on thing, but if I hear the name constantly being thrown up in like the social space of like Instagram and
yeah, but you do more of that than me, don't you? So
to be like, oh, this director of and such, and then it's like, oh right, I didn't even realise, because obviously in general sometimes there's been cases where I didn't even realise a director had done such a film, and I've known that film for forever and a day. But anyway, that's bye. So yeah, so I thought it'd be nice for you to see
a different.
Oh, for both of us really, because this is the first time watch for both of us, and to see if it sort of fits similar stylings of It's a Wonderful Life or what. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. I feel like it's got, now you said that, A Wonderful Life and James Stewart, it's got a lot of potential, I assume.
And what's slightly more interesting as well is the fact that the film is like, I think 8 years difference from prior to A Wonderful Life. So it'll be a younger James
I wonder
Stewart.
if I like a younger one or not. I feel like James Stewart in A Wonderful Life is probably my right age for me now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I know what you mean. Yeah. It's a good... Yeah. It's not too weird, you mean? Like in terms...
So is he going to look like really, really baby-faced and too young? How old is he for this film then?
The film came out in 1938.
Let's see.
So, I actually don't know when he was born, so...
Will that help if you know when he's born? I still can't do stuff like that. He was born in 1908, so that's really easy. He'd be 30. So actually, he's a lot older than in A Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Well, he's like one of those fine wines that ages really well.
Yeah.
You know, like Indiana Jones and Wolverine. I didn't say that the actual names, but you know what I mean. Hugh Jackman is like a fine wine.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Learned something new there, straight off the bat. Myself. So I'm going to read the synopsis.
Okay.
The son of a snobbish Wall Street banker becomes engaged to a woman from a good-natured but decidedly eccentric family, not realizing that his father is trying to force her family from their home for a real estate development.
Interesting. Kind of sounds a bit like Wonderful Life in the aspect. Some, obviously they want the building and loan. Does
Yeah, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, so I feel like there's some kind of there's a bad guy that's money driven, and then there's the family that's not as well off as them.
Yeah. Right, let's go see what James Stewart looks like.
30 years old, 2 years younger than me.
In You Can't Take It With You.
Who's going to pay for all those buildings down in Washington and interstate commerce and the Constitution?
The Constitution's been paid for years ago. And as for interstate commerce, what is interstate commerce anyway?
There are 48 states, see? And if it weren't for interstate commerce, nothing could go from one state to another, see?
Well, why not? Have they got fences?
No, they haven't got fences. They've got laws. Holy smokes, I never ran across anything like this before.
And we're back, having watched You Can't Take It With You.
What did you learn?
That you can't take it with you.
And?
Money isn't everything.
What is everything?
Family.
And?
Loved ones.
Friends.
Thinking
you're not getting there. If I say and again, you'll just look at me like, what does she want of me? There is a lot of similarities to It's a Wonderful Life. Which obviously this was before Wonderful Life, but for me it's comparing it to A Wonderful Life.
Yeah, exactly.
James Stewart looks so baby-faced. It's untrue. He looks a little bit like your younger brother Joe. Like a young baby Joe.
In a way, yeah.
Not now, but I think it's the tallness and the sleek hair back then.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
This is very strange.
So you thought of Joe when you were watching this, or just...
He looked more like Joe in this, and I think he looked really young.
Yeah, he did.
To the point of, which is weird because he's 30 years old, acting however old in the film, probably.
Wonder if he got, ID'd a lot.
He must have, because I thought he would be 30 years old in It's a Wonderful Life, not 40.
And to think in that film as well that he's playing like a high schooler at certain points, and then obviously later on when he's got family and kids and all that, it's anyway.
But I think it's not got the he ages very well.
Yeah, but we also got other, I say, recurring characters, obviously from what we know of It's a Wonderful Life, with Mr. Potter playing the nice character in this, or the actor who plays Mr. Potter, should I say, and he plays the grandfather, Mr. Vanderhoff, who's the eccentric family.
He must be a young Potter, that's for sure. Cause
he will be. Would work the same way, won't it? Because he did look a bit slimmer as well.
He did, and I don't know, I really liked him as that kind of character.
Yeah, Lionel Barryman is Martin Vanderhoff. Yeah.
Interesting. We also had one little blimp of
Mr. Gower.
Yeah. He's not slapping poor George round the face.
Yeah, no, it was H.B. Warner, who played a character called Ramsey, but he was like a blip at the end, really. But he was also like a sort of down on his luck character in this as well, based on how the story plays out. But in terms of other stylings and stuff, you can see how It's a Wonderful Life kind of became what it is from. This is an example of the director's work, so
I think it's definitely got morals, it's got meanings. It's lengthy, this one is. And I know A Wonderful Life is, but I feel like
that's more justified, do you think? Because there's lots.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's like an entire life to go through, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm more emotionally invested in It's a Wonderful Life, and the fact that I can go and repeatedly watch it every Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as emotionally invested in these characters as much as I'd want to be. I think there's a lot of them. I think also...
That's fair, yeah, because it's a big family that...
like, Alice is nice, but I think she's a bit ashamed of her family. That's how I kind of take it a little bit. Like, she don't want, you know, to introduce them. She wants them to, like, conform and be... And it's like, well, that's not how you've been raised. Your family is different and you should embrace it. And you've got... I think the granddad is the, like... Or grandpa is the main one that I kind of feel for.
Yeah.
He's got all that responsibility on his head. He's the one that's... He's technically your George Bailey, I feel.
In this situation, yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously it is his house and he hasn't moved from the house because it's reminds him of his, obviously, late wife.
That's it, what I expect of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But and there's when he's having a discussion with Alice, like in room battle, like, oh, you kind of met a young man to bring to the house and everything, the proposals, like, coming your way type of thing. And that sort of like the talk he's having with her and explain about, like, oh, you know, this was your grandma's room and everything like that. And what was she like? Because she'd never met her. So I'll just have a look over there and just look in the mirror and like, so she's like almost like the spit in her, obviously, personality and just looks and everything. Really, so that's just, there's very like quite sweet moments that I think that really work, and you can see why this is probably seen as a classic. And even just the way that things are handled with dialogue and in an easy manner. Like there's a point when the basically the tax man comes like knocking at the door, and Mr. Vanderhoff is like, well, why do we need to pay my taxes for? It's like, well, no, you've got to. And it's like, well, yeah, what? It's not a physical thing I'm paying for. Like, you know, if I go to the shop and get food, then I've got it. I can see what I'm buying. Like, which is all like valid 100%. Stuff. Like, it's like, I wish we could be like, well, why should I pay?
I'm not paying my council tax.
Yeah. Because what do I get as a reward for?
You empty me bin now and again. I don't want to pay my NHS because I get stuck in a bay ages.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there is some really clever ways of dialogue, and obviously that's the one attraction to these older films. That's why I really love them, because some of the acting is good, but it's not like, oh, this is the most amazing actors and actresses in the world. But the dialogue and it's just keeping your interest constantly. There's always something happening.
And with a film like this almost still sort of rings true to this day, pretty much, in things like with the tax and
just remembered it was in black and white, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I was thinking, like, it didn't even like notice. Is that daft? Like,
really?
It didn't even make me think, oh, we're watching a black and white film. It was just, this is
the
film we're watching, and it's, I don't know, really bizarre that I didn't trigger that it was. And I was just thinking, oh well, yeah, she's got blonde hair, clearly. Like, I assume she has.
With the grayscale and everything.
Yeah, I think that's what, in, like, obviously her sister definitely had dark and brown hair.
Yeah. The ballerina. Yeah.
She was annoying. She was annoying. Like, she reminded me a little bit of my sister, just flouncing around everywhere, and it's just like, for God's sake, woman, can you just keep still for a second? And she would crap at it. But she won. Like, you could actually tell, like, she probably was a professional ballerina.
Yeah, she's doing all the tiptoe thing and everything.
Yeah, doing everything great. And then just, like, her arms are going out frantically. Like, what the hell?
Didn't realise you were such a dance critique.
Yeah. No, I watched Strictly. I think, for me, it's looking at your characters. So, obviously, the family, you've got, I don't even know half of them. You've got your granddad, you've got your... Penny, which is the mum of Alice,
she's
and
the like playwright, and she's constantly
and the painter at the end,
and she's got a little cute kitten. This is like used as a paperweight.
But then they say kittens, right? They throw this word around, kittens. I only see one. Where are all the rest? So obviously Essie, I think, is it Essie? Is the sister? Yes,
the brown haired one
of Alice. Yeah. She's got a husband, which he just likes stamping shit and printing things.
Yeah, he's like selling candy or something. He goes around like door-to-door salesman or something like that. But yeah, and then he's sort of get embroiled in this thing with these the the father who does like things with fireworks or something
he's an
in the
arsonist.
basement. yeah, pyromaniac. Yeah.
And then I don't know, the other guy that's with him. There's just this random bloke that they've just taken on, like Poppins.
Mr. Poppins, yeah, he was working at bank crunching numbers, and which I get in the sense of why that's a thing. It's like, what do you aspire to be? And instead of like, well, I'm just going to be just doing mundane shit that I'm going to be
talking my life here, Paul.
That wasn't intentionally what I mean by that. But obviously, like if you're given the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Obviously, no.
The only thing
very unlikely that somebody's going to just bob into the thing and go, "Oh, how would you like to do
exactly
your dream job?" And then go, "Well, just follow me." And
then I'll pay all your bills and
you can lodge with me.
No, that's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I see like in all of this, like there needs to be some realism there, and I think that's what Alice is. Like I think she's actually bringing home the wage and bringing home.
Yeah, she's working at the bank. Basically, and
I think
with Mr. Kirby or no, and then that's the son.
She's the secretary, isn't she?
Yeah, for Tony. Tony, because he's a junior, which I always don't even get me started on. Like, what? No, he's so lazy.
You don't want a Paul Junior then?
No.
Okay.
PJ.
PJ in the jam. Oh dear. And I think she's obviously she likes her job, but obviously there's a perk of Tony being there, and she just. Like, he's flirting with her, he's quite smitten by her, and she's quite liking him back, and obviously he's very wealthy as well, which is always an appeal back then. Not meaning that in an awful way, but marriage was not just for love, it was also like
for gain and profit, I suppose.
Financial agreement in a sense. Yeah. Like, oh, well, if I marry a wealthy man, I don't have to work a day in my life.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, I think she kind of she does love him, but I think his life and everything's so much different, and I think she kind of aspires to that a little bit. She wants the better things at the start of the relationship, like, oh, I'm going to the ballet and I'm doing all this with the vice president's son kind of thing, and she loves his title, and she seems quite enthralled and immersed in it all at the very start. And I think this is where she's at the end does like a 360 of, oh, actually my family are better than yours, and the way that the Kirbys are isn't actually the right way. Like
they're very much looking down the nose at her and the family in particular as well. As the film goes on, it's a bit like the kind of snobbery, like you said. There's a class war going on with that, and it's. I mean, I'm sure that's obviously still occurs to this day. Hence what I said about being sort of relatable.
It kind of does, but I think it's more like in a religious aspect. So like. More like a culture thing. So,
more as alongside that as well, you mean?
Yeah, because I don't think like unless ours would have to be like a really extreme, like somebody very, very rich and like royalty or something, or going to like Oxford or so it'd have to be something very, very like elite. Like I think our normal kind of, you can have like your middle class, your lower class.
Yeah.
They can mingle, intertwine, and that's fine. I think obviously if it's more posh, then maybe they'd have that. But I think they do, like in other cultures, still have that like idea that the man should provide.
Okay.
And if he's not able to, then he's not good enough for the daughter.
Yeah.
So I think that would be.
I thought you were also meaning the fact of like, someone who isn't Jewish can't marry into the family if they aren't, kind of thing. Or
it could be.
Indian,
it depends on what.
As well, because that works the same. Similar way.
Obviously, back then, I don't think there was much of that really going on, was there? Because obviously, I don't think a lot of migration and like had happened.
Well, there's a lot of immigration from like obviously like
but I think
Irish coming over to New York.
And obviously, they did have servants in the house.
Yeah, they did. Again,
but I feel like it was very frowned upon at that point to like mix races.
Yeah.
I think that would be like, imagine that in this film if obviously you had the housekeep lady marrying the vice president. That would have been a whole different.
That would have been a very shocking story for the time. I think. Yeah. Not saying they couldn't have been done, but it definitely would have been like, oh, gasp.
Yeah, they'd have frowned upon it, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Even this is like kind of, it's like equivalent of Titanic, isn't it? Really, it's like the same principle. Oh, very rich boy.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Which is Rose in
Yeah.
And then Jack is Alice.
But just the gender roles reversed, yeah.
I think what I do like about this is Tony is just adamant, like, he wants Alice. He knows that, and that's going to happen.
What did you make of his, like, charm, should we say? Like, when he's just talking to her one-on-one kind of thing, like, oh, you just made me so crazy, I want to scream, and...
He is a bit more of a spoilt brat in this, I think.
Yeah.
But
he even says that, like, oh, I cried since I was a baby and got my way, and so I can still do that now. And
yeah. If I want something, I'll just scream, and I'll get it. And it's like... But then that's his role, is having to act, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is charming, but it's not like a Wonderful Life charming. It just isn't. It's just not there.
Not developed enough, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's his character. Obviously, he's not down on his luck like George Bailey. He's very well off, and he's, if anything, he's kind of causing all this issue for Alice and the granddad and everybody in the house, really.
Yeah, when he's like, oh, well, like when he kind of mixes up, in quotation marks, the dates of when we haven't come around for the meal to meet the family. He did it purposely to catch him off guard, to see the real family as they are, not just a pretend make-believe like version of themselves, which is fair enough, but ultimately it's like, oh, this just scuppers everything up to build that relationship.
I think it came from a good heart of reason why he wanted to do that, because like he didn't want Alice to pretend the family was something they're not, and he wanted his family to accept them for who they are, which is always the right reason. But first impressions matter. Yeah. And I think they spiraled out of control. They ended up in jail and everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think though, if I was Alice, I don't think I could marry him. Even if if it was you, if I loved you so much, but your parents were like awful. I think like if your mum were looking at me like I'm a piece of poo on a shoe, like that'd be really hard, like to then like get past that, I guess, for Alice's sake.
I get what you're saying. Although a lot of people don't care about that, do they? They're just like, well, I'm not really going to see that often, except maybe the social gatherings or something, then you get by it. But
I think it's just the awkwardness. You want that acceptance there, don't you? Family really matters.
It does, but generally, like, over time, those things can sort themselves out, can't they? But
yeah. So I think, obviously, the granddad, I feel like I wish I was like that. Like, I think I had that, oh, well, this job's boring. I want to invent or do this or whatever and just leave my job. And because, like, obviously he'd been in corporate fields. He was like Anthony's, the vice president.
Yeah, Mr. Kirby,
yeah. He was like Mr. Kirby.
Yeah.
And he used to work a 9 till 5 and have the stress of it all, and got in the elevator one day and thought, can't be arsed anymore. Sack this off. And I think...
Well, that's what kind of comes full circle at the end with Anthony Kirby at the end with that. I think that's after the realisation that Ramsey's like, oh, he's died of a heart attack because of everything gone.
And I think it kind of reminded me a little bit of Scrooge, or like the Christmas Carol, basically. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing, because like there was that forewarning, he had that insight from the granddad, and as well the fact that a guy just had a heart attack with the stress of it all and losing everything. And it does make you think, like, what's more important? You're only on this little planet for however long you have. And you have to make the most of it. And it's like, it's just a bit hard sometimes to go, well, yep, you've got to make the most of it. You've got to live life to the fullest and enjoy yourself. But you do need money. And money can be the root of all evil. But you still need money to eat, live, breathe.
I know. It's a catch-22, isn't it,
really? It's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got loads of money, then fair enough, walk out of your elevator and decide to quit your job. If everyone were doing that, we would literally have nothing functional. Like, we all need to go to a grocery shop and buy food. Like, if everyone thought, well, I don't want to do this. Do you know what I mean? So I think the moral sits with me well, but it doesn't at the same time. And I think that's my grown-up, realistic self talking. Somebody's going to have to do a shit job at some point.
Yeah, I know. That's why we have people emptying their bins and kind of stuff. Yeah,
they get paid really well to empty the bins. Probably get paid more than somebody in the NHS, but
yeah, I know it's crazy how it all works, isn't it? Like what is valued more than others and things like that. Yeah,
it really is. And the more that kind of chain of climbing up the ladder and the pressure, the more responsibility, the more kind of like you can see Mr. Kirby kind of being like, well, this pressure of buying all what are they even wanting to buy all the houses for?
I think it's a bit like in Up, where they're wanting to buy out the houses or to level it or build up new houses or something. What are you laughing at?
Do you think Up watched this then and thought, oh, we'll create a Disney or Pixar, version of it?
I don't know. Maybe I think that could have been taken from any other scenario, but I think that's the what I understand of that is like a buyout that he's trying to do so that we can like move on with forward planning.
Yeah,
for, like the new.
But then I think it's quite nice that the fact, even though I'd have been miffed at this point, like I've just emptied my whole entire house. I'm moving, got removal van outside, packed all my bloody boxes, and then Mr. Kirby comes and goes,
I've changed my mind, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, oh god damn it, why couldn't you have done this sooner?
Yeah.
Literally cleared it out.
I'd have been absolutely miffed off. I wouldn't have even lied. Like, I wouldn't have been like playing my harmonica with him, like, oh yeah, this is amazing. I'd have been like, are you actually joking? But obviously it's a film. It's not going to have that.
Yeah. It's all sorted within a matter of
they're
minutes.
back to normal, sitting down having dinner with everybody.
One of the other things that is, and you pointed out as well, that is kind of, say, similar to It's a Wonderful Life, is that when the lower class community all kind of pull together to pay the $100 fine, which...
That's a lot for them, though, back then.
Yeah.
Like,
and thinking about it now, I'd be like, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, pay that for, like, say you caught on a speed camera or something like that, and like, fine, I guess I'll pay it begrudgingly, and I think that's not too much of a hit, but yeah, back then that would have been
That'd have been a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, like, I remember my mum just saying recently we went to go get fish and chips, and she was like, I used to be able to buy a drink in the pub.
Mm-hmm.
Should we get like about 4 drinks for 50p? And I went, sorry? And she went, yeah. Like, I'd go to this pub and I'd have 50p and I could get about 4 drinks. And I went, what? I'd need 20 quid if I'm lucky to get myself 4 drinks nowadays. But obviously back then, things cost less, but they got paid a hell of a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
So like 100 quid to them would have been like $1,000 probably, equivalent to us. But it does show, and I always say this, that the rich are greedy and they're never generous. And the people who have less are always more generous. And it's facts.
Mm-hmm.
You can't miss what you don't have. And that's why the more giving, because they don't have anything, so they don't require like as much as somebody really rich and wealthy.
Yeah.
And it shows that they're quite selfless. Like, also it shows how well this family is loved by the community.
Yeah, the whole neighbourhood kind of that like courtroom thing to hear the plea of it all, what's going on, because obviously they're so close knit with one another that they're wanting to like essentially like booing them at the Kirbys as they're walking out of the...
It's like a pantomime.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy it, but obviously the whip around straight away just brought me to It's a Wonderful Life, where it's the same incident. Like, obviously the Potter's stolen the money that they needed to pay from the building alone.
Well, the misplaced money from...
Yeah, but he could have been a nice person, couldn't he? But he benefited from it instead.
Yeah.
And I think it just kind of shows, like, the friends and the relationships and family that you have matter more. And I think that's what it's trying to
across.
go for. Does it make me cry like It's a Wonderful Life and pull up my heartstrings? I don't think so. There were no tears. It was a dry watch.
No waterworks, no. No, I can't say overall it was... it wasn't like anything that was, really makes me feel too emotional, but I can see the value of what the message is getting across. It's very clear to see.
I can see 2 values.
Yeah.
And some I agree with and some I don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bit, because I think I was being a bit bitter, because it's like, well, yeah, wouldn't everyone just love to quit the jobs and do whatever they loved, but then you wouldn't have anyone doing the jobs that you need them for. Yeah.
Can't live in that fantasy world, unfortunately.
No. Like, I'd love to quit my job and just, like, take photos all day, but then I'm like, I've got bills to pay, I've got responsibilities. Like, it's just not factual, is it? Unless you're really lucky and you can do, like, your job that you really love. And I think a fair few people can. Like, obviously, actors and actresses. But then, is it everything they always think it is? Like, I think that's the other thing.
Yeah, take it rough with the smooth. There's always going to be some catch with things because you think about it, they're almost freelance, aren't they? Really, they have to.
Yeah, but they get paid really well.
Yeah, but they have to be to live the lifestyle of that. And
but then the life in the fact that they're then in the media and everyone knows about them. Everyone knows.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the disadvantage of the perk of it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
There's always a good and a bad in any situation, I think.
That's true.
So I think in the end, obviously, Tony and Alice, we assume, they're going to get married. It's not really implied. You don't get down on one knee, but obviously everything works out. And
kiss and makes up, basically, yeah.
Sat round the table eating with the Kirbys. So every time I say it, I think of the pink Kirby.
I knew. Also thinking the same as well. But. And
then I wanted to say Splat, but that's Croc.
He's sucking up all
the badness,
the money.
Is that what it is? Getting all the coins in. Can we talk about that annoying Russian wrestling man?
Oh yeah, I don't know why he was there. He's one of the characters that could easily be cut. Yeah, really. It's very odd. It's almost like just having somebody of a different class in it, other than.
Yeah, but he seems quite well up there, though, doesn't he? Because he's a dance teacher. But I feel like he's sponging off him for tea. And he knows she's rubbish. He actually said she stinks. So everything stinks to him. Yeah. But then he still comes every time. And I think it's cute. The granddad says, "Oh, well, as long as she's enjoying herself and she's having fun." That's his motto, isn't it? Yeah. But I just think I'd want to progress. I won't want someone stringing me along saying I'm crap. I might as well benefit with my time on something worthwhile.
Improve on it.
Yeah. So, but if I'm not improving, then what's the point?
I feel like you should have stepped in, shouldn't you? Told her your dancing's rubbish.
Yeah. I think as well with this, it shows how many times does the granddad get offered, he gets offered 100k for the house at one point, and then initially then sells it for 25k, which the amount of value that's there, for that time, 100k, you would literally chew somebody's arm off. Nowadays you get a really crappy property for it, but for them back then that would have been a huge amount. And the fact that he still didn't lure any of that, to be I'll take that.
Yeah, because there's obviously the sentimental value of the property and the memories and all that kind of stuff is very much dear to his heart, really, and that's can't really put a price on things like that, can you? In most cases, but if you got to bite down on things if it gets too tough, then I guess you reluctantly have to, which is almost the case. But I don't know if that would have benefited being that way. It had been I say that because I know what Hollywood would have played it safe. They wanted a happy ending where everything all worked out just fine. Really, They didn't have to move and everything. How it would things have played out had it been that we all up and moved to where Alice is now living instead of because she's moved far away after all the scandal and stuff.
I think if that were the case, I'd still want Anthony and Alice to be together, even if the Kirbys weren't part of it. I think they'd still need that.
Because I think that would have also worked as an ending if they were to do that, and just bittersweet that they had to leave the place, but make a new start, which is what some people do, don't they? They find happiness in another location if they do have to go to move, depending on circumstances. But
I think it's always hard to move from any house. Even when we moved from what I felt like was my child home to this one, even though actually this house is way better, you still got all the memories in that house, and then you just have to remember you can always take them with you.
You can take those with you.
I think that's memories. The thing. Yeah, you can.
Actually, I think it mentions something along those lines in the film anyway. Yeah.
The grandpa is very attuned. He's very assertive with what he's saying, and you kind of understand why he's like a wise owl. He's telling you everything that he's already done and what life should be like, and he's valid with everything he's saying. I think though with Poppins, he's a little woodworker man. Reminds me of Pinocchio's dad.
Geppetto, yeah.
Yeah. And he seems like a lovely character, but it's what does he actually make? What does he sell? What's he, how does he get the money?
Well, I presume just taken down to the market or little convenience stores or something.
Unless Alice is bringing in the big bucks for a secretary job.
Yeah, I don't know, but God knows what they're really doing with the fireworks, except for being for shops and.
I don't think
stuff,
they had
but-
bonfire night back then, did they? At that point, had Guy Fawkes.
Do Americans have bonfire night?
Oh, they might have.
They've got obviously a 4th of July. That's a big
Yeah, but was
Independence Day.
I don't know when-
Yeah. I think that. I don't know American history very well, but that will at some point will have been a popular thing to have had fireworks for.
Interesting.
So, is there anything else to bring up?
Even though it feels like I think it was too long. I think that's one thing I will say. Like, I know we had a little tea break and we got us little snacks and everything, and that was like halfway through, and I was like, "What? We've still got an hour?" And I was just like, I don't understand what that other hour was going to have.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all vital somewhat.
I'd say so, yeah, but maybe it felt a bit more drawn out at the beginning.
It just doesn't feel
Tightened
like
up at the start would have
flows.
helped, yeah. And I feel like as it went on, it could be trimmed down a little bit more so.
I think if you're comparing It's a Wonderful Life pacing to this, I think there's a massive improvement in It's a Wonderful Life. Like, I feel like everything's valid, everything's smooth. I couldn't cut anything out, and that is a long film, but it all adds and impacts to the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think some of this is just where, like, they're faffing around in the house and just causing firework rackets and...
You're like, oh, here we go again with this. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And just showing how kooky they are.
Yeah.
Like, we get the point.
Yeah, what about I remember that scene with the kids in the park.
I didn't know why that...
Where they're doing the, what's it called? The
Big Apple? American Apple or something?
Hang on, I'll write it down somewhere, I think. Yeah, the Big Apple dance. Yeah, like...
But then I didn't get why the police were shooing him off. Could they not dance in the street at that point?
Is it like, I haven't seen Footloose, but is it like dancing is illegal in the park?
I don't know. It's like, I just don't understand.
Yeah. And then it's like, he's standing there where the kids run off, but they're still dancing. It's like, well, what's the problem with those two dancing?
I guess obviously the problem with them, the kids, maybe is because they're trying to get money from it. Maybe that's the issue. But
yeah, like hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that.
But then there's a sign on the back where he puts it on her as well, like, does...
Oh, yeah.
And Tony. And it's just a bit like, now everyone's looking at her and you're making it more public. Like, I know you're trying to be funny, but I think in that social state, she's wanting to impress and it's not.
Also, when he takes her into that, for the dining room stuff, people are laughing or whatever at that point. But it's like, well, they're looking at him face on. It's like, well, the sign's not even...
Yeah.
I can't understand if it was like they're walking through and
is that because of the trays that they were knocking over? That kind of reminded me of It's a Wonderful Life with the dancing scene of the water going ooh ooh. Like they're going to go into the swimming pool. Yeah.
I guess I'm more accounting for linking the Big Apple dance to that bit when they're doing the dancing in the gymnasium or whatever.
Kind of, but I think it's more the moving away, like
backing up. But...
Yeah, and they're laughing and the woo. But I think it's not done as well. Like, it does look a little bit chaotic and a bit like, oh, what's happening? And then there's obviously the mouse incident. I don't think that needs to be. And it just ends and it's like nothing really comes off.
And let's move on. Yeah.
But I'm grateful for it because it brings us a wonderful life, so I can't complain.
No. Right, okay, so for a score, I definitely think I would watch it again, and despite it obviously was saying like it could trim down a little bit, I didn't feel like it was this is unjustified, like why was this long, but taking away what the messages it's getting across and everything like that, it wasn't. I don't find it terribly offensive or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see, I suppose the youngest I've seen, James Stewart, I guess, without realising perhaps, and seeing obviously like how he's gone from maybe like third billing on the poster, I think, to being like the main
leading man
on the posters and the films, and he does it later in life. But I will put it at an 8.
Yeah,
as I say, like it's definitely rewatch value to maybe reassess your life like you would do with It's a Wonderful Life or anything like that. I think films like this have that stay factor, and they are, as I say, it still feels very relatable to this day, even though the values of certain like time period and things like that have drastically changed, but yeah, the message still comes across fairly strong.
So obviously, A Wonderful Life is a 10 from me, a solid 10. Like,
Yeah.
if I could give it 11 or 20 out of 10, I would.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely love it. I think I came in with high expectations.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong, so did I, but I didn't know if it would be, I don't think it would have been as high as A Wonderful Life, but still.
But I think, obviously, being directed by and James Stewart, like, tick, 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 like,
I'm things and all those kind of similarities of, like, comedy stylings, I suppose, that are sort of prevalent from both, but obviously it's a bit like a director, like, say, Wes Anderson having, you know, the way the framing, the colours and all that kind of, having the same actors in that, and so on and so forth. But
I just think, overall, this one is a bit too lengthy. It's got the morals, but some of them don't sit fully there. Like, I try and get what it's going for, but I think also life can throw a lot of crap at you, and you can't just go, oh, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want. And I think it's the unfairness of life that I'm seeing that as. And I think that's the bit where it's like, well, actually, yeah, you're acting as you're lower class, but you're very privileged at the same time to do whatever you want and still get by however you're getting by, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't sit that well with me. Whereas I think George Bailey's just got, like, shit after shit after shit hitting him. Like, life just keeps knocking that poor lad down.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting back up, and it's just more relatable to sympathise, I think.
Yeah, I get you.
So then it's like, 8, I did think 8. And then I did think, 7.5. And I'm thinking, Soph, that's really harsh. But I think it's just some of the morals are not perfectly attuned. I just really wanted to love it more than I did. And I think an 8 is too close to 10.
Okay.
So I think 7.5, which is really low for me. And I think that's because...
No, I thought you might have said, like, 7 or something.
Oh, it's not miffed me off as much as the Titanic. It's fine. It hasn't got me on the high horse. But I just think, if I'm comparing the two, like, I'd watch It's a Wonderful Life. I would watch it again, but it wouldn't be like let's put this on.
If you had the choice between the two, Yeah, it's obvious,
And obviously then I'd probably put Singing in the Rain on before this. Like, it would be, like, lower down in my pecking order. I probably end up forgetting what it is until you tell me James Stewart's in it, and then I'll remember.
That's fair.
But thank you for trying.
That's fine.
It's my own fault. I picked it.
I know I'm not saying that, because that is something I've wanted to see for a while as well. I don't know what the other one would, how well...
Who was in it?
I say Clark Gable, but I haven't seen any of films he's been in, but it's supposed... Again, they're both quite high contenders for, like, very good films of the director.
Is he good looking? Oh no, he's got a weird tash.
So
he looks Italian.
So I don't know. Obviously, that hasn't got James Stewart in. So what that would have been like, but perhaps it's checking out on our own time and seeing.
Maybe,
but...
yeah. Not enough eye candy there though.
But no, it was still enjoyable watch overall. Just not as strong as what we expect. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. And if you want to check out some of our other episodes, then you can do so by heading over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever else you get podcasts from. And as always, we'd really appreciate a 5-star review over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else to do the scoring system.
So if you're not following us already, then why the hell not? We are on pretty much every platform, and Paul does an amazing job of posting on there. So we're on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and X. So we're under the handle SP_filmviewers. And then we're on something called Blue Sky, which is basically SP without the underscore. Film viewers. Yeah.
And we're also got the YouTube channel, which is probably easy to find now because I've changed the handle, so it is SP Film Viewers, all one word for that. But anyway, if you search that, you'll find it on there. The episodes do also get uploaded to there as well. And there's also some vlog style content on there that I'm trying to keep on top of. Now, it might be a bit more trickier now in a new role with everything, so we'll have to see how that goes, but hopefully, certainly the podcast episodes do go up on there, so you can find us there.
Still not got enough subscribers though for me to join. So get liking and subscribing, all that stuff. Yeah. Follow him.
And we do want to thank the Patreons again.
Yep, even though they didn't do the job this time because they
to have Sophie step in. She gets the casting vote if same.
So, yeah.
But anyway, thank you.
I can only blame myself.
So if you want to join the Patreon family for helping us with a more balanced vote, then all you need to do is go to patreon.com/SP Film Viewers. So it only costs £1 or $1.50 a month, and you get the opportunity to vote for a film we watch once a month, and also have your name read out every single episode, as we're going to do right now.
So we've got our podcast family. So we've got Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film. We've got Ben from Push Pull Health, formerly known from Film Vloggers. And then we've got Nico from The Good, The Bad and The Weird podcast.
We've also got new patron, who is All Hail King Rhino, over on Instagram and Threads. We've got friend Gren, who is at @cgren_draw on Instagram. And Alex and Shani, who are at Desperately Seeking Username and SDOG on Instagram, respectively.
We've also got Emma and Jonesy, who are on Instagram under the handles Weight Loss Jonesy and M_Hayton. And lastly but not least, my mum.
So thank you very much for your continuing support.
Yeah.
And we do thank you for your contribution to what we watch, because sometimes it's like, which is to go for.
It's helpful. Yeah. And then it's nice sometimes for him to throw a bone and let me pick. So thanks, guys.
So thank you very much for listening once again, and we'll speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
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 Bye.